You know the sound? It's usually about, what, 11:30 at night?
Oh, yeah.
The house is finally quiet, you've just turned off the bedside lamp, and you're starting to drift off, and then you hear it.
Scritch. Scritch. Scritch.
Ah,
It is the single most unsettling sound a homeowner can hear. It triggers something primal.
it really does. It's not just a noise, it feels like a violation. Like,
Wow.
this is my sanctuary, this is my safe space.
Right.
And suddenly there's something in the walls. Or maybe you walk into the garage to grab a drink and you see those little dark pellets in the corner. It's just this immediate sinking feeling of, oh no.
My perimeter has been breached.
Exactly.
That is exactly the right way to frame it. It's a security breach.
Yeah.
We tend to think of home security as, alarm systems and deadbolts to keep people out. But in California, from San Diego all the way up to Sacramento, there's an adversary that doesn't care about your deadbolt at all.
And usually the reaction is just panic. You run to the hardware store, you buy 20 traps, and you declare war. But today, we're doing a deep dive into this guide from Simple Pest Management that basically says, stop. Put down the traps for a second. We need to talk about exclusion.
Right. The guide's called How to Rodent-Proof Your Home in California. And the whole philosophy here is that trapping is reactive. It's just cleaning up the mess.
After the fact.
Exclusion is proactive. It's about locking the fortress so the invasion never happens in the first place.
Which sounds great, but I think for a lot of people, and I'll include myself here, the motivation to do this work, which is work, we'll get into it, is mostly just the gross factor.
The ick factor.
Yeah, I don't want a mouse touching my silverware.
The ick factor is real, sure. Nobody wants to find a bag of flour that's been chewed through. But if we only focus on the gross out element, we miss the actual danger.
Okay.
We really need to talk about the biology for a minute because the stakes are so much higher than just ruined groceries.
You're talking about disease.
I am. Rodents are vectors for some truly nasty stuff. Hantavirus, salmonella, leptospirosis. And the scary part, and the guide really emphasizes this, is that you don't need to be bitten to get sick.
That's what I wanted to ask about. I always assumed you had to, corner a rat and get bit to be in real danger.
Not at all. That's a huge misconception. The danger is in the air.
In the air?
As rodent droppings and urine dry out, they decompose and they turn into dust. When you disturb that dust, say, by sweeping up a garage or rummaging through a box in the attic,
You kick it all up.
you aerosolize those particles. You breathe them right in. That is how hantavirus spreads.
Okay, that is significantly more terrifying. So simply having them in the house, even if you never see them, is a respiratory hazard.
Exactly. And looking at the geography here, this is a specific problem for places like Riverside County.
Why Riverside specifically?
It's the temperature. In colder climates, winter naturally knocks back the rodent population.
Sure, makes sense.
But in Riverside, or much of Southern California, it stays warm enough that they don't die off. They just keep breeding all year round.
So you have a higher concentration of all that stuff, allergens and pathogens,
Yeah.
circulating constantly.
Right. And for kids with asthma, this is a major, often overlooked trigger.
So we have the biological warfare aspect, but then there's the physical damage to the house itself. I learned something in this deep dive about rodent teeth that I wish I could unlearn.
The chiseled teeth.
Yeah. I knew they chewed things, but I didn't realize they had to.
It's a biological imperative.
Oh.
A rodent's incisors never stop growing. Ever.
Ever.
If they didn't gnaw on things constantly, the teeth would grow until they pierced the animal's own skull or made it impossible to eat. They'd starve.
Wow.
So they aren't chewing your baseboards because they're malicious. They're chewing to survive.
They're filing their nails, basically. But on my house.
Correct. And their teeth are incredibly hard.
Mm-hmm.
On the Mohs scale of mineral hardness, rat teeth are harder than lead, aluminum, even copper.
They can chew through cinder block. Right. The guide said that.
Given enough time, yes.
And the big one mentioned is electrical wiring. Why wires? That seems like a bad choice for a snack.
It's the texture and the size. To a rodent, a wire feels like a plant stalk or a root. It's perfect for gnawing. The problem, obviously, is that once they strip that insulation,
You have exposed copper, which is a fire hazard.
a massive one. It's estimated that a huge percentage of undetermined house fires are actually caused by rodents chewing through electrical lines inside the walls.
So when you hear that scratching, don't just think gross. Think fire safety.
You have to.
Okay, you've sufficiently raised my blood pressure. But there's one more stat that really drove home why you can't just ignore one little mouse. The reproduction rate.
The math of infestation, it is staggering.
Break it down for me.
Think of it like compound interest, and you start with a penny, and it doesn't look like much.
Right.
But rodents reach sexual maturity in a matter of weeks, not years. And the gestation period is short. Under ideal conditions, like a warm house with plenty of food, a single breeding pair of mice can result in 200 offspring in just 4 months.
200 in 4 months?
Yes. So if you see one mouse and think, oh, I'll deal with it next weekend, you are effectively allowing a small village to develop in your attic. The population explodes exponentially, not linearly.
That is a nightmare. Okay, so we know the stakes. We know why we need to act. Now we need to figure out how they're getting in, because I look at my house and I think it's pretty solid. I don't see any giant holes in the wall.
That is the most common mistake homeowners make. We look for holes that we could fit through, or maybe cat.
Right.
But you have to recalibrate your eyes. You need to think much, much smaller.
How small are we talking?
For a mouse, the size of a dime.
Wait, hold on. A dime? I'm looking at a dime right now. It's tiny. A mouse has a skull. It has shoulders. How is that even possible?
It's the skeleton. Rodents have collapsible clavicles. Essentially, if they can get their nose and skull through a hole,
The rest of the body just follows.
they can wiggle and flatten the rest of their body to follow. For a rat, it's about the size of a quarter.
A quarter. So basically, any little crack, any gap around a pipe is an open door.
Precisely. And in California, the entry points depend heavily on where you live. If you're in San Diego or Sacramento, especially in those older neighborhoods, the issue is often the foundation.
Just settling cracks.
Exactly. Concrete settles over decades. You get these hairline fractures or gaps where the plumbing enters the slab. To you, it looks like a shadow line. To a mouse, it's a highway.
And then there's the garage. The guide called this the welcome mat.
The garage is the weak point in almost every single home. Look at the bottom corners of your garage door. The rubber seal there wears out, or the mice just chew right through it. If you stand in your garage with the lights off and you can see sunlight peeking through the bottom corners, you have a rodent entry point. Guaranteed.
Now, for our listeners in the foothills, places like Placer County, the threat isn't just coming from the ground up.
No, in those areas you have to worry about the roof rat.
Which sounds like the worst kind of rat.
They are the acrobats of the rodent world. Unlike the Norway rat, which kind of stays low, roof rats are climbers. In Placer County, where you have these beautiful oak trees and properties bordering nature,
The trees become bridges.
they're absolute bridges. So if a branch is touching the roof,
It's a direct walkway.
yep, they run across the branch, drop onto the roof, and then they act like little inspectors. They check the eaves, the vents, the chimney flashing. They will find a way in.
There is one interpoint mentioned that I never would have thought of. The utility penetrations.
This is a huge one. Think about when you get cable internet installed or a new HVAC system. The installer drills a hole through your siding,
Yep.
pushes the cable or pipe through, and maybe squirts a little caulk around it. Over time, that caulk shrinks or it falls out.
And now you have a hole leading directly into the wall void.
Exactly. And rodents love following lines. They just follow the cable right into the house.
And the dryer vent? That one seemed counterintuitive to me because it's blowing air out.
Well, think about it from the rodent's perspective. It's November. It's getting chilly. They walk past a hole in the wall that is pumping out warm, fluffy, humid air.
Okay, yeah. It's an invitation.
It's the most inviting thing in the world. If that vent doesn't have a secure cover, or if the flap is stuck open with lint, they climb right up the pipe and nest in the warmth.
Okay, so they're coming in everywhere. Roof, floor, vents, pipes. We are surrounded.
We are. But this is where we pivot to the solution, the tactical guide. We can actually fix this.
Let's get tactical. Step 1 is the inspection. The guide recommends something called the flashlight test.
This is the best way to spot those dime-sized holes.
Yeah.
You can't just look with your naked eye in the daylight. You'll miss them. You need contrast.
So how does it work?
You do it at dusk or at night. It's a two-person job. One person stands inside, say in the garage or the basement with all the lights off, pitch black.
Right.
The other person goes outside with a high-powered flashlight and shines it along the foundation, the door frames, the vents.
And the person inside is looking for beams of light.
Right. If you see a beam of light cutting through the darkness, that is a hole. Air can get through, light can get through, and a mouse can definitely get through. Mark it.
Okay, so we've marked our holes. Now we need to plug them. And this is where the guide got very specific about materials. Because apparently my plan of just spraying some foam into the hole is a bad idea.
Oh, it's a terrible idea. Expanding foam is great for insulation, but to a rat, it's just whipped cream. They'll chew through standard foam in about 30 seconds.
So you need a barrier that hurts to chew.
Exactly. Which brings us to the first weapon, steel wool.
A classic.
You stuff the hole tight with steel wool. The abrasive fibers hurt their gums, so they stop chewing. It works. But and this is a big but it rusts.
So if you use it outside or in a damp garage, it's just going to degrade over time.
It will rust, sting your stucco, and eventually it'll crumble away. So the pro tier upgrade is copper mesh.
Copper mesh, okay.
It's the same principle, woven metal wire, but copper doesn't rust. You want to stuff that hole so tight that you can't even fit a pen tip in there. But you don't just leave the mesh sticking out.
You've heard of sandwich.
It's a sandwich technique. You pack the hole with copper mesh, and then you seal over it with a high-quality sealant. For small cracks, silicone is great. For bigger gaps, you can use that expanding foam, but only because the mesh is inside as the reinforcement.
The guide also mentioned something called rodent-resistant caulk. I honestly didn't know that existed.
It's a real thing. It's infused with capsaicin, the stuff in chili peppers, and bittering agents.
So it's spicy caulk.
It's basically spicy caulk. They try to gnaw on it, they get a mouthful of heat and a terrible taste.
I love that. Chemical warfare. Now, for the bigger holes like attic vents or crawl space openings, we need the heavy artillery, hardware cloth.
Yes. And we need to be very clear here. Hardware cloth is not window screen.
I feel like a lot of people make that mistake. They just staple up some bug screen.
A rat will go through a bug screen like it's tissue paper. Hardware cloth is a grid of welded steel wire. It's heavy duty.
And the mesh opening has to be a certain size, right?
You want the mesh opening to be 14-inch or smaller.
Because of the mouse.
Exactly. Anything bigger than 14-inch, a mouse can squeeze through.
And the installation seemed intense. The guide was very firm. No staples.
No staples. Think of the physics. A rat is pure muscle. If they can get a tooth or a claw hooked onto that mesh, and it's just held by a little staple, they can pry it loose.
So you have to use screws with washers.
Yes, the washers are key.
Yeah.
If you just use a screw, the head of the screw might slip through the mesh opening. If the rat pulls hard enough, the washer clamps the mesh down against the wood.
It's like a bolt lock effect.
You are building a fortress, not putting up a flyer.
We also missed one critical material, flashing.
Ah, yes. Metal flashing. This is crucial for the roofline. Where the chimney meets the roof, or where two roof lines intersect, you often get gaps. You can't just caulk those. You need sheet metal flashing to physically bridge the gap so there's nothing for them to chew on.
Okay, I feel empowered. I'm ready to go buy some copper mesh and screws, but there's a massive warning in this guide, the Do Not DIY section. And honestly, the first point made my stomach turn a little bit.
The trap of sealing them in.
Yeah. Explain the nightmare scenario here.
Imagine you hear scratching. You know you have rats. You go out on a Saturday, you do everything we just talked about. You seal every crack, you mesh every vent. You have done a perfect job.
But the rats are still inside.
Correct. You have now trapped a wild animal inside your walls with no access to food or water.
So they just die.
Eventually.
Yep.
But first, they panic. A trapped rat is a desperate rat. They will chew through things they normally wouldn't touch. They'll chew through drywall. They'll chew right through the ceiling. You might wake up to a rat running across your living room floor because it chewed its way out.
And if they don't get out?
They die in the wall. And the smell. I cannot describe the smell of a decomposing rat in a wall void. It permeates everything. It lasts for weeks. And then comes the flies.
Oh, God.
Flesh flies. It is a sanitation disaster.
So the rule is you have to get them out before you lock the door.
Exactly. You need to trap and remove the population first, or use one-way exclusion doors that let them leave but not return. It's a delicate dance. Please leave, but don't come back.
And that's really where the professionals come in. The guide talks about Simple Pest Management's integrated approach.
Right, because doing this yourself is hard. It's dangerous. Are you comfortable climbing a 20-foot ladder to flash a chimney?
Absolutely not.
Are you comfortable crawling into a crawl space filled with spider webs and potentially hantavirus dust? Most people aren't, and they shouldn't be.
So what's the integrated approach?
It's a 4-step process. Inspection, trapping, exclusion, and sanitation. They don't just patch the hole, they make sure the enemy is gone first.
And the sanitation part is so key because of that biohazard dust we talked about?
Yes. They have HEPA vacuums, respirators, commercial-grade sanitizers. If you try to sweep up rat droppings with a broom, you are putting your health at risk. Let the pros handle the biohazards.
Plus, they offer warranties, which, if I'm spending the money to seal my house, I want a guarantee.
That's the peace of mind factor. If you DIY it and the rat comes back, you have to go back under the house. If Simple Pest does it and the rat comes back, they come back. They've been serving San Diego, Sacramento, Riverside, and Placer counties for over 2 decades. They know the local housing stock and the local pests.
Before we wrap up, I have to mention my absolute favorite part of this source material. It's a little detail tucked away in the About Us section.
Oh, I think I know where you're going with this.
Yeah.
You mean the chief bedbug officer,
I do. We have to talk about Teddy.
Theodore Augustus Pulgi.
A very distinguished name for a very fluffy employee.
Teddy is a mini Bernedoodle. And apparently, he's in training for scent detection. But currently, his main role is morale.
I love that. Pest control can be such a grim clinical industry. It's all poisons and traps and diseases. It's nice to see a company that has a bit of a heart and a mascot.
It humanizes them, or canines them. It shows they care about the culture of their team. And honestly, if I'm having someone come into my home to deal with a stressful problem, I like knowing they're the kind of people who have a chief bedbug officer.
Agreed. So let's bring this all home. We've covered the horror, the biology, and the tactics. What is the big takeaway for the listener today?
The takeaway is that a rodent-free home is an investment. It's not just about stopping a noise. It's about protecting your property value from fire and damage, and protecting your family's lungs from disease.
Right.
Whether you are handy enough to do the copper mesh sandwich yourself safely, or whether you call in the cavalry, the technology exists to win this war.
You don't have to live with the scratching.
You don't. You can lock the fortress.
If you enjoyed this deep dive, and especially if you learned why you should never use expanding foam alone, please like and follow the show. It really helps us keep the lights on and the pests out.
And if you are in those California regions, San Diego, Sacramento, Riverside, Placer, and you want to hand this problem off to the experts, check out Simple Pest Management.
You can follow them on social media, hopefully to see more photos of Teddy, and visit their website at www.simplepest.com. That's www.simplepest.com to book an inspection.
My advice, get the inspection before you hear the scratching.
Smart. I'll leave you with this final thought. We spend thousands on smart cameras and alarm systems to catch burglars. But when was the last time you checked your perimeter for an intruder that can slip through a hole the size of a dime?
A chilling thought.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Stay safe.